StrayAllDay.com.
You're now tuned into the show where you learn the discipline to show up day after day, to do the work, the confidence to put yourself out there boldly and authentically, and the mental toughness to continue showing up, doing the work, putting yourself out there even when the success you've expected to achieve has yet to be achieved. And on top of all this, you get a huge dose of personal initiative. What is that? That is go-getter energy that moves any one of us, including yourself, to go and make things happen instead of waiting for things to happen. And then we put all this together into a series of frameworks, approaches, insights, strategies, and techniques, all underneath the umbrella of one unifying philosophy that is called Work on Your Game. My name is Dre Baldwin, also known as Dre All Day, and welcome to the show. And today's topic is how to avoid nonsense. How to stay away from nonsense, and I will define what that means, of course, momentarily. But before we get started, let me tell you all, I send out a text message every morning, free of charge. Ask your friends, they'll tell you. Straight to your phone every single day. It's called the Daily Motivation, and let me tell you the purpose of this message. It's to help you get your day started in a focused, sharp, and on-point state. If that sounds like what you want, and I know that it is, here's all you got to do. Text me right now at this number, 305-384-6894. Send a text to that number right now, and here's what's going to happen. You'll get an auto message that verifies that you actually want to receive this message, so we know that somebody didn't spam us. And once you verify, you will be a member of my text community, which means every day when I send out the Daily Motivation, you, as a member of my text community, will receive that message. That's all you got to do. And every message you get after that is coming straight from me, so you can actually respond to any one of those messages. And when you get a response back, yes, that is me texting you. So don't text anything crazy, because you are talking directly to me. So that number is down below in the description. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is where you can work with me directly. That is the only place to work with me directly. That's a better way of saying it. If you want to work with me directly, you must go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's where you can get access to all the courses that you ever hear me mention, like Bulletproof Mindset, People Skills, ASAP Confidence, 30 Days of Discipline, the Next Mission Framework, the Business Builder Framework, Sell Yourself, Toughen Up. All of those things are inside, and a whole bunch of tactical trainings that are one-off on certain topics, like frameworks, like how to make the most of your time, how to understand what an avatar is, how to understand how to sell to your ideal customer, how to close a sale, how to actually reach out to somebody and get them to respond to you, even if there's someone who has a lot more followers or a lot more customers or a lot bigger audience than you. That I have trainings on how to do all of those things, but there's only one place to get them. workonyourgameuniversity.com. And yes, they are all in there. Everything I told you is in there, plus a whole lot more that I'm not even going to list, because I could fill this whole episode talking about it. Go to workonyourgameuniversity.com and see that I'm not lying, and do what you need to do. There are options right there on that page, and not that many options. We make it real simple. You want to work with me directly, go to workonyourgameuniversity.com. That's all you need to know. All that said, let's get into today's topic. Oh yeah, by the way, those links that I mentioned there are down below in the description. Now let's get into today's topic, which is how to avoid nonsense. Let's first of all get clear what nonsense means, because we all have heard this word, but we may have different definitions of what it means. So let me get everybody on the same page to get clear on what nonsense means. Here's the definition. Spoken or written words that have no meaning or make no sense. That's the definition of nonsense. Also, foolish or unacceptable behavior. So I'm going to add a further definition that goes along with those. Ideas, activities, and material that are not related to your clearly defined goals. Let me say that again, because that's the frame from which we're going to be having this conversation. Ideas, activity, and material that are not related to your clearly defined goals. Now, if you don't have clearly defined goals, then it's impossible for you to identify nonsense. See, nonsense requires that there be clear goals so that you know what is and what isn't sensible. But if you don't have clear goals, then anything could possibly be sensible, theoretically speaking. So you need to have clearly defined goals before anything I say today will be relevant to you. Does everybody understand what I'm saying here? Good. Point number one. Today's topic, once again, is how to avoid nonsense. Fill your calendar with productivity. You see, you can't be engaging in nonsense if your calendar is full of productive things and you are actually adhering to what the calendar is telling you to do. There's an old saying, I don't know where it comes from. I think it may be a religious thing that says, idle hands are the devil's workshop. Some of you may have heard that phrase before. Maybe some of your parents might have said that to you, your grandparents. People who have nothing to do or nothing to think about, you know what they are? They are vacuums. If someone has nothing to do and nothing to think about, they are a vacuum, meaning they have resources like time and attention, but they have nothing to direct that time and attention towards. And when people have nothing to do, what happens is the devil whether you are religious and you believe there is actually a devil in a religious sense, or the devil meaning nonsense and bullshit, whichever way you want to define it, but is one of those. The devil gets a hold of these individuals, and what it does is has you engaged in some nonsense. That's what happens. I'll tell you this story. There's a podcast out there called $1 Million Worth of Game. Now, they are completely different podcasts from what I do. Their podcast is more on the entertainment side. And there's this guy on that who hosts that podcast. Well, it's two guys, but one of the guys on the host of that podcast, his name is Gilly, and he's from my city, Philadelphia. And he was telling this story about he was talking to one of his children. His son was a high school graduate. And Gilly was talking to his son, who's a high school grad, and his son had one of his friends with him. And they had both graduated from school at the same time. And Gilly said to his son's friend, hey, now that you graduated from school, what are you going to do? And the son's friend said, well, I don't really know. I don't really have any plans of what I'm going to do. I'm not really going to do anything. I'm going to just chill. And Gilly said, he's telling the story. I didn't see this happen, but he told the story that when his son's friend said that I'm not going to do anything because I don't have any plans, Gilly looked at his son right in front of his friend and said, you are not allowed to hang with this guy anymore because this dude is on his way to jail. This dude is about to go to prison. And Gilly's telling this story. Now, Gilly comes from the hood, and I'm assuming at that time, at the point in which he's telling this story from, I don't know when this was, I'm assuming they were still in the hood because this is the kind of stuff that does happen in the hood. I'm from the hood, but I'm not in the hood anymore. But Gilly tells this story that he told his son, yo, you can't hang with this dude anymore because he's on his way to jail. He said it right in front of the guy. And then Gilly said later on, months later or a year or two later, that guy who Gilly was referencing ended up getting incarcerated and actually going to jail for, I don't remember what it was for, either murder or armed robbery or some kind of violent crime. I'm telling you that story to tell you this. This is what happens when there's a vacuum. I'm not saying you're going to go to jail or you're going to get an assault charge or armed robbery or murder charge. What I mean is when there is a vacuum in your life and you have nothing to do, nothing that is directing or controlling your attention, your energy, and your focus, the devil, however you describe the devil, is going to get a hold of you and have you involved and engaged in some bullshit and some nonsense. The vacuum will be filled with nonsense, things that you don't want to actually be involved in, and or things that maybe are not necessarily hurting you, but they're not helping you either. So if you have nothing to do, you might end up spending 3 hours of your day watching some reality TV or scrolling through Facebook or looking at ass pictures on Instagram or binge watching a TV series on Netflix. I'm not saying those are necessarily bad things, but are they moving you towards your goals? And the reason why I'm asking the question and framing it in this way, because you're listening to a show called Work on Your Game. So listen, I don't know what else any of you do with the other 23 hours and 30 minutes of your day, other than the 30 minutes that you invest into this show right here. But when you're listening to this show right here, you're being held accountable for your personal and professional development. That's the kind of show that this is. I think all of you are familiar. I think all of you understand that. So that's what this show is. I'm not saying that it's wrong to watch TV or look at ass pictures on Instagram or to scroll through social media or to even watch a show like $1 Million Worth of Game, which is more on the entertainment side. It's not about personal and professional development. But this show is about personal and professional development. So here, that's all we're going to talk about. Your development as a person and your development as a professional or an entrepreneur or a business person, how you're making money, how you're making yourself a more valuable member of society. So when there is a vacuum in your life, you have nothing to do, you're going to end up doing something that is not moving you forward personally or professionally. Everybody got it? These are nonsense or things that won't move you forward, but they will suck up your time and leave you in the same place that you started. You don't want that because you lost time. Time is your most valuable resource. Almost every entrepreneur I speak to, and anyone listening to this who's an entrepreneur, let me say something and you tell me if I'm right or wrong. You want more time so that you can do more productive things that will let you achieve more of your goals. Is that true or not? If you could, you would give yourself more time in a day so you can get more stuff done and get closer to achieving your goals. Is this true or is this not? Every entrepreneur I talk to wants more time. They want to work. They just don't want to work every waking hour, right? But here's what you need to do. You need to take the calendar, which is an app on your phone. Every phone comes with a calendar app. You don't have one, go download one that you like. Calendar all the work that you will do. So when I say calendar your work, I'm using calendar as a verb. Put in the calendar all the work that you're going to do. And then calendar the time that you need to spend doing non-work stuff. You have a significant other, you have kids, you got life responsibilities, you're a member of your community, you do community service, you go to church. Put that stuff in the calendar too. Every single thing you do and you know you're going to do in a day should be in the calendar. Then when you put everything in the calendar, you're going to realize something. Damn, I can't do everything. Some things ain't going to fit into the calendar. Then push has to come to shove. Some things are going to make it into the calendar. Some things ain't going to make it. And guess what? When that happens, you got to make some decisions. If you need help making those decisions, get help. We're talking about your time here, folks. This is the most valuable resource you have. You should not be playing around with this. This is not something you don't need to DIY figuring out what you're going to do with your time. DIY means do it yourself. You don't need to do everything yourself. All right, the toilet breaks in your house. Do you do that yourself? All right, if your Wi-Fi is out, do you go climb up on the roof and try to fix it? If your satellite TV is not working, do you go get a ladder and climb up on the roof and try to angle the satellite dish in the right direction? No, you call somebody and get help. Why? Because a professional will get it done faster, better, and more safely and much more reliably than you could. We're talking about your time and your life and your career here. Why would you try to do that yourself? You don't fix a satellite dish yourself. That's only costing you what, $150 a month? But now when we talk about your life, you want to do that yourself? Tell me how that makes sense. Make that make mathematical sense to me. That your life and your career, which is controlling pretty much a lot of what you have going on, you want to do that by yourself. But when your satellite dish that costs you $150 a month, that breaks, you immediately get somebody on the phone, a professional, to come help you. Tell me that, explain that equation to me. Explain why that makes sense. You can't, so I don't need to give you that much time. Anything that's not moving you forward, but it's sucking up your time, you need to make sure that it has no space. It cannot exist in your world. How do you do that? You fill your calendar with things that are actually helping you. If you can't figure out how to make this work, or not even if you can't figure it out, if you just want some help to make sure that you're making it work in a way that is most efficient and productive and effective for you achieving the outcomes you want to achieve in life, get help. Again, if you can go get help for your satellite dish, which is beaming a bunch of bullshit into your TV and into your brain that is helping you do absolutely nothing, then why would you not get help for things that are actually going to help you do something? Again, we're talking about your life here. Point number 2. Today's topic, once again, is how to avoid nonsense. Number 2, connect with people who are already avoiding nonsense. I.e., connect with people who have clear goals and are actively pursuing them. Let me say that one again. Connect with people who have clear goals and who are actively pursuing said goals. This is how you actively use the law of attraction and the law of association. We are in the era of collaboration. The wealth in life is in relationships and connections. I did a whole episode on the era of collaboration, which was episode number 2293. If you have not listened to that episode, please go listen to it. Also listen to episode number 2510, how to collaborate with businesses and people. When you connect with people who are already actively pursuing their goals, you will have no choice but to actively pursue your goals, or you run the risk of being dropped from that person's circle because they will not associate with you if you are not doing the things that they're doing. Again, this is the law of association. You become the average of the people you spend the most time with. So if you're somebody who is actively pursuing goals, looks at you and realizes that you are not actively pursuing goals, here's what they're going to do. They're going to stop associating with your ass. Why? Because you're bringing their average down. And if you're collaborating or dealing with or associating with someone who is actively pursuing goals, you have no choice but to be actively pursuing yours. Otherwise, they will stop answering your calls. They'll stop responding to your texts because they don't want to deal with you because you're bringing their average down. Again, you want to deal with people who are going to bring your average up, people who are playing at a higher level than you. You want to deal with people who are moving you to level up in life. How do you level up in relationships? That's a good question. I answered it. Episode 2397, how to level up in relationships. What you want to do, since the wealth of the world is in relationships and connections, is find people who are already following point number 1. Let them influence you to be more like them. Notice my verb is there. Let them influence you to be more like them. Even if you need to financially invest in access to these people, guess what? Do it. If you need to financially invest in access to people who are playing the game at a higher level than you, do it. And I'm going to give you an episode very soon on why you need to invest in access. I just talked a couple of days ago, 3 or 4 days ago, about the best financial investments to make. One of those investments was access to people. I'm going to do a full episode explaining out why you need to invest in access to people. It is worth it to access people. The real information you want is not on Google or in books. It is in people. It is in the brains of other human beings. They know things, they see things, they can interpret things that Google and Chat GPT cannot, at least not yet. Even if you need to financially invest, do it. I mean, let me ask you a question. What's worth more than being around people who will influence you to live the way you want to live? What's worth more than that? Tell me something that's worth more money than that. And once you have connected to these folks, stay connected to them, meaning text message them, call them, figure out a way to meet up with them in person. Stay in the mix. You need to be outside. You need to be active. You need to be around these individuals. Do not lose these connections. I talked about being outside in episode number 2259, how to be outside to be seen, heard, and known. So if you haven't listened to that, go listen to that. Episode number, there's another one, episode number 854, about strategy. Be outside often. You got to be outside where things are happening, folks. You can't do this all from your couch. Point number 3. Today's topic, once again, is how to avoid nonsense. Number 3, keep your goals in full focus and on the front page of your consciousness. This one is probably the most self-explanatory in my 3 points, but I'm still going to explain it. What this means is you are not only looking at your goals on New Year's Eve, meaning you're not just looking at your goals once a year, then at the end of the year asking yourself, did I reach my goals? Let me find out. Let me look at it. I haven't looked at them since last year, since the beginning of the year. Let me see which ones I reached, which ones I didn't. No, that's nonsense. That's nonsense. You need to be looking at your goals on a consistent basis, actively looking at your goals, consistently looking at your goals. When I say consistently, what do I mean? Are you saying, Dre, you need to be looking at my goals every single day? I mean, what's more important for you to be looking at than your goals? You look at Twitter every day. You look at Instagram every day. You look at Facebook every day. You look at your email inbox every day. You look at text messages that people who ain't got nothing going on are sending you every day. So if you look at those every day, why could you not look at your goals every day? I mean, what's more important for you to be looking at? This is not a rhetorical question. I'm asking this question. What is more important for you to be looking at every day besides your actual goals? I mean, again, if you look at social media, why not look at your goals? You shouldn't only be looking at your goals when you fail at something or you face a crisis situation or when you win at something. You should be looking at them all the time so that they stay on the front page of your consciousness. Everybody get what I'm saying there metaphorically? You should be looking at your goals all the time. You should know what they are. You should know what your goals are for this month. Without looking them up, you should know what your goals are for this month. I'm not going to go as far as saying you need to memorize them, but they should be written down and they should be accessible so that you can remind yourself as often as necessary what your goals are for the month. So if you ever find yourself idle and not knowing what to do next, have your goals handy. When you have your goals handy, you look at them and then you know, okay, this is what I need to do next. I didn't hit that goal yet. Let me go work on that. Get to work. Put it on your calendar. So if you ever find yourself idle, not knowing, look at your goals to tell you what to do. If you ask an airline pilot, a train conductor, or the captain of a ship, hey, what's the next goal? Where's the next place you're going? How long is it going to take? I guarantee you, each one of them can give you a clear, precise answer. They know exactly where they're going, when they're going, and they have a pretty good idea how long it's going to take to get there. Why? Is it because they're smarter than you? No. It's because they have a plan. Do you have a plan? I mean, either you do or you don't. There's no kind of plan. There's no maybe plan. Either you have one or you don't. This is a yes or no, black or white answer. And this is why planes, ships, and trains, for the most part, usually go where they plan to go, and they usually get there at the time they expected to get there. Now, here's where you can insert a little joke about the airline that you hate the most. But for the most part, most of the time, they're on time and they get to their desired destination. Most of the time they do. Why? Because they have a plan. And even you as a human being, you want to make a joke about Delta or American Airlines or United or Spirit. Let me ask you a question. How often do you get to your desired destination at the exact time you said you were going to get there? All right, since you want to make a joke about the airlines, now let's turn around on you. Yeah, you stopped smiling real quick, didn't you? Now, with all that said, let's recap today's class, which is how to avoid nonsense, defined as spoken or written words that have no meaning and make no sense. I also added further definition: ideas, activity, and material that is not related to your clearly defined goals. Number 1, fill your calendar with productivity. Saying is, idle hands are the devil's workshop. The devil will take over anytime you drift, as Napoleon Hill said in his book. What is it called? Outwitting the Devil. If you have not read that book by Napoleon Hill, it is called Outwitting the Devil. I guarantee you, you'll read 60% of that book the first time you crack it open. You'll read 60%. You won't be able to put it down. You'll read the whole book in about 2 or 3 sittings at the most, even those of you who don't read books. It's called Outwitting the Devil. Go look it up. The devil explains in that book that his number one tool for leading people in the wrong direction in life is the habit of drifting. What does drifting mean? Drifting is when you don't have anything going on, you don't know exactly where you're going or what you are doing next. The habit of drifting. I talked about this in episode 1037, how to stop drifting through life. I talked about it again in episode number 2386, how to defeat the habit of drifting. Also in episode number 1700, how to stop drifting, have clear direction, and start hustling. If you have not listened to those episodes, they are, again, all embedded, and you can listen to them at workonyourgamepodcast.com. Get clear on exactly what you are doing and fill your calendar with productive things. Otherwise, the devil will take over anytime your hands and mind are idle. Number 2, connect with people who are already avoiding nonsense, i.e. people who have clear goals and are actively pursuing those goals. This is the law of attraction. Get around people who are doing what you want to do. Their energy will attract you doing more of what you want to do. It's also the law of association. If you violate this, they will kick you out of their circle because you're bringing their average down. Number 3, keep your goals in full focus and on the front page of your consciousness. In other words, you need to be continually reminding yourself of what your goals are. That's why they need to be written down. You need to be looking at them on a consistent basis. When I say consistent, what do I mean? Every day. You look at Instagram every day, you can look at your goals every day. Why not? You should be looking at your goals all of the time. You should know exactly what they are. You don't have to memorize them, but they should be handy. So if somebody asks you what your goals are, within 30 seconds, you should be able to list them out. This, and this. Because they're that handy, they're that close to you all times. That's an airline pilot, a train conductor, or a ship captain. Where they're going next, how long it's going to take, they can tell you exactly where and exactly how long it should take. Why? Because they have clear plans. Question is, do you? All said. Let me know you want to get my daily motivation by texting me at my number, which is 305-384-6894. And every day when I send out the daily motivation, you shall receive it straight to your phone free of charge. Secondly, workonyourgameuniversity.com. That is where you can work with me directly so you can build the bulletproof mindset, get access to the business builder framework, have the work on your game system to make sure you do the same things the same way every time, and you have the next mission process so you can be held accountable and you can execute the way you're supposed to like a true professional. workonyourgameuniversity.com. Links to both of those, number and the university, are down below in the description of this video or audio. Work on your game. Dre all day.